Nobody realizes that you're walking around literally dying inside. So the pain, you can't see that. Not everybody walks around and shows how they really feel. And that was me. Being brought up in a Jamaican Caribbean family, we were taught a certain way how to deal with things in home. Even if I got hit, I was taught not to express myself to others.
What happened inside the home stayed inside the home, no matter what.
Right. So even if my mother hit me with a 4x4 or a belt or an iron or whatever she could pick up, because if you tell somebody, you're gonna get it worse. So then I wasn't told, okay, if you're being hurt, to tell somebody. Very loving family. They were married close to 40 years. Non-violent family. What happened in the home stayed in the home. Didn't raise their voice. If anything, it was handled. No abuse. My mother went to church. Very, very godly. My father, my brothers and my sisters, nothing out of the ordinary. No police. No, didn't condone that. Nothing out of the norm. And then here I come along. I got lost in what we call normal society. Staying home meant and not being able to go outside and being a normal child, learning how to ride a bicycle. I'm pushing 50 years old and I still don't know how to ride a bike. I was never taught. Why? Because I was locked in my home for most of my childhood. My mom and my dad were so caught up into their work. As being Caribbean parents, I grew up to realize that was their life. Their children were their life, but their work was their life. So it was work, children, church. I was just growing and told, okay, don't answer the phone, don't answer the door, don't talk to anybody, sleep, eat what was given to me, and do your homework. If I wanted more food, I was told not to touch the fridge. And if I did, I got beat. I couldn't touch the door. So basically I was held into my room. COVID-19 just brings back all of my childhood all over again. You're talking about trauma. So now I'm reliving my trauma all over again every single day.
Would you say that you have some PTSD because of that?
Definitely do. I'm diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not made up. Well, I'm on Wellbutrin, Seroquel, and Quetiapine. And I take Albrix for anxiety.
Wow.
So I have 5 medications for different disorders. So that's how I manage that. And I have a therapist. My trauma is not just therapy trauma. My trauma goes deep.
Yeah.
Because of what has happened to me and for so long. So I remember being pushed into a wall because I asked for more rice. I just was like, I don't want any more food. Like whatever she gave me, even if I didn't want it, I ate it. Like I cannot stand okra. Like I can't stand it. And I ate it because I know if I didn't eat that okra, I would starve. She would just give you enough to tide you over for the next day. But then my brother would get whatever he wanted. Like he was allowed to do things that as a girl child, I wasn't. Okay. And that always played in my mind as a girl child. I thought that being a female and being my mother's child, that I would be allowed to do things my brother wasn't allowed to. But in my house, it was reversal.
mostly everyone is trained to what you just said. What happens in home stays in home, or this is what marriage is. I'm sorry, but no, it isn't. This is not what childhood is. This is not what family is. This is not what love is. The love doesn't create pain. It creates growth. It creates happiness. It isn't what you experience. It isn't what I experienced in my marriage. It got to the point where you went to school, you would socialize with other people outside of your home, and people would ask you if you're okay, and you're like, yeah. Deep down in you, you knew that something was wrong, but the fear was so great that it rewires what you are born to know is normal, is love. And it's such an insidious occurrence. It happens to children, little human beings who are so impressionable. A child doesn't become who they're going to be until a personality in a child becomes solid at age 5. And then who that person is going to be is set in stone by age 9. So if abuse happens from the womb to age 9, that is part of that little person. It's part of them.
And that's exactly what the therapist told me. She said that I'm basically going to die with this trauma. And I said to her, why? And I said, no, I'm a survivor. She said, no, you are a survivor. She said, don't mistake what I'm saying, Miss Morgan. She said, you are a survivor, but because it happened to you at so young of an age, there is nothing that I can do, medication can do, God can do, anybody can do for you in your mind, body, and soul that's going to remove that, because the trauma is embedded. So there's tactics, there's ways, there's means, but the memory cannot be erased. And I got it. You know why I got it? Because I'm pushing 50 years old, and we're talking about something that, like, of a 6-year-old, of a 5-year-old, of a 4-year-old, of an 8-year-old that I remember. But because my mother and my father was so into their work, they weren't even paying attention to what was happening to me. And then when I got into school, I got into trouble. I got mixed up into the wrong crowd looking for love. I got into a gang. It was called the Jamaican Posse, because they accepted me. And what happened was the attention was not the right attention. So then I started stripping while I was in high school.
All of this that you've been through up until this point and after, all you were looking for was love. That was it. Love and support. And why is that hard? I don't understand why that's so hard. It's the easiest thing in the world to love somebody, especially your own child. Bullying and the abuse and the stripping and this and that, all of that was completely needless and unnecessary. All you were looking for and all you needed was love and support.
The reason why that was so hard is because my mother and my father were so caught up into work that they didn't see me. That is why parents fail with their children. Your child is right in your house, right in the room, and you think they're on their tablet doing their schoolwork. No, they're talking about sex. Oh, when I can come over, because my mommy is not here, my daddy's not here, and they're talking about stuff that they don't have no business talking about. There's certain things that parents need to open their eye and understand that a child is going to be a child. So you have to make sure that you know what your child is doing. Parents need to really wake up and see, like, hidden signs, and really understand behaviors of their children. And that's the thing. I had so many signals that I was giving my parents, and they didn't take heed to not one of them. Not one. Even when I was trying drugs, even when I started stripping, I had to numb myself. So I started smoking weed, I started drinking, and my body wasn't right. They didn't take heed to anything. Nothing at all. They don't like to hear the struggle, the depression, the bitterness, the pain, the anxiety, the worry, the insecurity. They don't like to hear that at all. And then you know what they start doing? They start talking about somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, I have friends and so and so. No, so we talk about you. What you afraid of? You're lost about what? What's the rejection? What was the signs that you knew you were being abused? And let me tell you something, half of them don't even know.
Yep.
They don't. He showed you signs way before he hit you. Verbal.
Yep.
Verbal.
Mental, psychological, probably
if not financial.
Financial.
You have your life to live. Okay. And I always tell them, get a piece of paper, right? I give them not homework, but I give them affirmations and stuff, journals. I tell them, get a piece of paper, and on a piece of paper, write down on one side, what good has he done for you, and what bad has he done. And let me tell you something. The bad is like front and back, and the good, it stops like maybe number 5. And I say to them, so what do you think about it? What's your thoughts? Because then I reverse it right back to them, because I'm not going to say anything. I reverse it back to them and I let them think. I tell them, get another piece of paper, and I tell them, fold it again. Write on another piece of paper. In 2020, what do you want to come out of this for you? What do you want what do you want to happen for your child? Because most of my queens have children. What do you want to see happen for you and your children? The divorce now is a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, when we get to it. Especially if it's contested, not contested. So the only ones that really go through quick is the ones with what? With money. My divorce, because he gun-butted out my teeth, I had to go to the Supreme Court, and my divorce took almost 3 years because I divorced him and he refused to divorce me. So even when he was in jail, he still refused to divorce me. And I couldn't believe how the court system would not give me my papers. It took me almost 3 years to get that one piece of paper. So when you talk about freedom and you talk about making a mistake and getting out early and advocates and people that you can go to, it's not a joke. Because if I knew what I knew now, and I had somebody to go to and somebody to talk to and support and somebody I can trust, I would have never made the decisions that I did. Because the judge was like, that he treated me worse than a dog. Because not even an animal you treat like that.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then the judge was like, you have the audacity to want to release her from all what you did to her. You still emotionally holding on to her. So then that is why I always tell my queens, sometimes the emotional is more detrimental than the physical, because they play with your mind. So even though they might hit you, it will heal. But then mentally, it stays with you, that memory. When you say you get angry, I'm past anger. I need to see Congress. I need to go to Congress. I need to talk to Supreme Court. I need to talk to the higher ups and voice my opinion and have them hear from me. I brush my teeth, that I have a reminder of domestic violence, of a gun being to my face. I need them to hear my story and see me. So when I turn on CNN now, and I turn on CBS, and I turn on Channel 10 and Channel 12 news and stuff, the news is the biggest to get the story out. As much as how they push Trump and Biden and the virus and stuff, I think domestic violence should be pushed as well. Cruelty to children, cruelty to animals, LGBT community, women, like it's across the board, especially in COVID-19 quarantine pandemic. It has increased. I'm only one person in Florida, and I've written commissioners, I've written mayors, I advocate, I go on Facebook, I do lives, I'm on TV shows, and all I hear, I'll get back to you. But that's not gonna stop me, because I know I'm not gonna stop until my word is written like a big blimp in the sky. Because I know I did not go through 20 years plus, right? 20 years plus in vain. Because somebody needs to hear my story and understand that pain, anxiety, bitterness, rejection, anger, frustration, insecurities, hurt is real. I want people to understand that this is not going anywhere. I have been going through this since 1974, and even to this day, I don't know why domestic violence is not being spoken about, as it should be. The funding for domestic violence is so mediocre that you would have to get some sort of big entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates is not going to fund anything, because I wrote up a proposal many years ago for domestic violence to honor survivors all around the world, and it got shot down. America works off of what they can get. I'm going to give you this, but what can I get back out of it? If I could get into, like, say, Tahaji, because Tahaji is very, very active with domestic violence. So if I could get to her, then she would take it on. But if I get to Bill Gates, he's not interested.
Right.
Even though he has, it would be nothing for him. Nothing. It would be a joke, because the amount of money that he has, it would be a tax write-off. But I'm just trying to show you night and day. Even if I contacted a nonprofit 501c3, it still wouldn't be. It would be something, but it wouldn't be as big as I would want it to be. People talk about domestic violence, but it doesn't really go further than what it's supposed to be, because of the money. So when you see all these ads on CNN for Trump, that's billions and billions of dollars that they're kicking out. And they are paid for by sponsors. So Joe Biden as well, billions and billions of dollars. Why? Because they kick out the ad and then they get it back. And that's just how it works. That's just how it works.
Yep.
So that's just the real. Once you hit the right person, and they want to know what they're getting out of it, what it is about, nothing comes out your pocket. That's why Trump is making money right now, and people don't realize it. He's not losing anything.
No.
He's gaining. He doesn't care about COVID and how many people dying. He could care less about any of that. The fires, that is a joke. To Trump, focus right now is oil. That is his focus. He don't business with nothing else you talking about in the election.
How can he make more money on a global level?
Trump thing is, he's a narcissist. So anything you say, anything you do, it doesn't faze him. He's a narcissist. People say that he has a bipolar disorder. He is not bipolar. That is not a chemical imbalance. What Trump is a narcissist. Nothing you say to Trump is going to faze him. He's not thinking about you. He doesn't care what you say. He doesn't care what you do. Not even his wife that is sitting right next to him. Do you see how she looks? Her face, she's abused. That's an abused woman. She has no emotion. She doesn't know whether to smile, to breathe, to turn left, to turn right, to hold his hand, not hold his hand, to sit up, to slouch. You can fight it, you
Oh.
know, you can fight it, but you have to have support, and you have to know when enough is enough. That's why I always tell people, never give up on your dream. And especially when somebody, especially a family member, it's always the ones closest to you. For some odd reason, I always find that.
Yeah.
The ones closest to you is the ones that always have something negative to say. I always tell my queens, don't sit down and think too much on him. Think about you. What do you want to do? Get somewhere where we can get noticed. That is my ultimate dream. For our voice to be heard. So if we can connect with the Me Too movement, or, I have no idea at this point in time, anything, would be better than nothing. Because the politicians, they're in their own world. I tried. I've written letters. I emailed. They're in their own world. We'll get back to you. What does that mean? After the election? Because I've been told that. I've written commissioners and been told, I'll get back to you after the election. Really? And after the election, then what?
So the only way that can change is for the rules that the judges are able to rule our lives by are all encompassing. Emotional, verbal, mental, psychological, financial, spiritual, all these other types of abuse are just as devastating as physical and sexual. Even more so, because they become ingrained in who you are. Like you said, they become ingrained in who you are. And people who everyday people who have experienced it, anyone has anything to do with domestic violence in any shape or form, gathering all that information, going to other countries and talking to the people in their society and seeing how they deal with it politically and legislatively, and bringing all of that back and seeing how we can change our laws here. That's the whole point of EyeOnDV. Because I am tired of seeing this. I'm tired of hearing all this go on needlessly. It is pointless. All of this pain that all these individuals and all these families are going through is absolutely pointless. And it is ingrained in almost every single human being on the planet. It's got to be stopped.
Has to be. It's enough.
Absolutely.
Enough. Whew.
Yes.
I need a drink.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, girl.
Yes.